Ali Krieger discusses breaking up, winning big, and setting new goals. If you don't spend much time on TikTok for women's soccer or in lesbian group chats, you may be unaware of Ali Krieger's extraordinary hero's journey, which has unfolded in dramatic manner over the last year. Imagine an epic sports film that is equal parts Bend It Like Beckham, A League of Their Own, and Vanderpump Rules Season 10. Ali Krieger and Ashlyn Harris were professional footballers and colleagues who fell in love, won a World Cup, came out publicly, engaged, won another World Cup, and married. Vogue covered their 2019 weddings, and the 18-minute wedding video. The video, which features maid of honor Megan Rapinoe, has received more than 2 million views on YouTube. In 2021, the couple adopted their daughter Sloane. Their son, Ocean, followed in 2022, the same year Harris retired from soccer. Krieger, a defender of NY Gotham FC, set a lofty objective for her last season to win her first NWSL championship. Despite the team finishing last in 2022, the team, led by Krieger, was anxious for a victory in 2023, knowing it was her final chance to capture the crown. As the year continued, Gotham had a solid season, which was not a guarantee. Krieger's life was going nicely until something unexpected happened. On October 11th, a few days before Krieger's predicted final NWSL game, it was announced that Harris had filed for divorce. Rumors spread that Harris had cheated. This season, Gotham's desire to win on Krieger's behalf became more personal. Krieger's final game took place 4 days after everything was revealed. She made an especially stunning sliding save, and the match eventually went in Gotham's favor, meaning their season wasn't finished yet. They were going to the playoffs, seeded 6th out of 6 teams. Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe's partner, attended Game 3 of the WNBA Finals in Brooklyn on the same day. When Bird appeared on the Jumbotron wearing a Ali Krieger fan club t-shirt, the audience went crazy. Gotham, which, I must emphasize, was literally the worst club in 2022, kept winning and advanced to the league finals, where they would face Seattle's OL Reign. For the final time, two sporting legends would compete against one another. Rapinoe and Krieger are both highly recognized athletes, but neither has ever won an NWSL championship, and now only one of them can. The stakes were enormous, and the contest was an emotional roller coaster. Rapinoe was hurt a few minutes in, bringing her remarkable career to a terrible conclusion. Later, with only a few minutes remaining, Gotham goalkeeper Mandy Hott was sent off, forcing midfielder Neely Martin to step in and guard the net when OL Reign took a free kick that could have knotted the game. Authentic, you can't make this shit up stuff. I meet with Krieger just 10 days after the NWSL title game, dubious of her attitude. It's been 6 weeks since the news broke, and although I don't know her, I'm concerned about her. For many people, the days immediately following a major marital breakdown are driven by pure adrenaline and a focus on logistics. You're in survival mode, figuring out how to hold it together at work, care for your children, separate your funds, feed yourself, and keep moving. However, once you've completed those first activities and have nothing else to do but sit alone in your grief, the crash can be devastating. While Krieger has been booked and busy since her victory, I worry whether she is about to hit the wall. Despite the windy weather, Krieger seemed to be doing well. She welcomes me with a loving hug and is clear-eyed and bright. As we sit for brunch at a pleasant, quiet location decked out with twinkle lights in Midtown Manhattan, she looks confident in her Gucci combat boots. Of course, glancing at someone does not reveal whether or not their heart is in pieces, so my first question is a basic one, but possibly not an easy one. How is Ali Krieger doing after an intensive few months in which she has only publicly stated 5 words about her separation? In my Beyonce Lemonade era, I'm actually in a healthy space, she explains. I am still absorbing things in real time. Obviously, I met the most broken version of myself this year, but now I'm stronger. I believe I am capable of overcoming any challenge, and I am eager for the next chapter. I feel as if the universe has sent me a gift, and I'm ready to accept it. Krieger, 39, is an exceptional soccer player by all known metrics. She was named All-American twice while at Penn State and spent 3 years playing professionally in Germany before returning to the United States to join the women's national team and, later, the nascent NWSL. She has won 2 World Cup titles. Midge Purse, one of Krieger's teammates and best friends, recently told her, "You just completed soccer," which struck a chord with Krieger. Until recently, the NWSL championship was the only major milestone she lacked. I sat with that a little bit, and I'm like, wow, I can reflect and be super proud of myself, she told me. Still, when I ask Krieger what she considers her most significant career accomplishments, she primarily discusses things she has done off the field. I'm really proud of the lifelong friendships that I've built with my teammates, she said. You endure so much, mentally, physically, emotionally, and you can't even put into words the amount of stress and anxiety that you have at that level to be able to stay there consistently over the years. It is a ludicrous amount of pressure. Krieger believes that other athletes are the only ones who truly understand it, which is why they establish such strong and long-lasting friendships. At different times you might be struggling or supporting, or you're the one thriving and maybe someone else, she goes on to remark. Forming friendships that extend beyond the soccer pitch has been a dream come true. Now I can share real-life experiences with them, not only soccer. Krieger sees these interactions as part of a greater picture. There is a clear link between her own self-care, her engagement with her community, and a broader sense of purpose and mission. Krieger has long advocated for social justice and equality. You can see she has a strong desire to speak up for what is right, and she is inspired and driven by those who share her ideals. So, while she is pleased of being a superb defender, her tremendous saves are not the most important contribution she has made to her sport. Because, ultimately, she claims, soccer is not who she is, it is simply something she does. I want to be known more for supporting people, fighting for human rights, fighting for equality, she said. Because if I don't, who will? That is the mentality I have. I believe it is critical to highlight these concerns and ensure that everyone understands where you stand. She attempts to focus on the causes she's concerned about: racial fairness, LGBTQ rights. For starters, she is concerned with women's equality and the areas in which she can make a significant difference, and she hopes that others will be inspired to do the same in their respective fields. If I can just do this little part, if I could just use my platform, my voice here, then maybe that'll encourage other people, she goes on to explain. And then you come together, and there's more power in numbers. While many people are aware of the U.S. women's national team's very public gender discrimination lawsuit, they may not realize how much work Krieger and her fellow athletes have done behind the scenes within the NWSL for years, or that Krieger is 100% that outspoken coworker who is confident in their convictions, somebody who isn't hesitant to challenge management on issues like as working conditions, health and safety, diversity and inclusion, and compensation. These younger players are now earning so much more than I did when I first started, she says, citing the work Krieger and her colleagues have done. She recalls constantly going to club and screaming, "This is unacceptable, you must raise the bar or people will go. People deserve more. We deserve more as players. You must think out how we can fix this, go talk to ownership. I understand that the younger players cannot do so. Well, listen to me more. I'm not frightened to lose my job, to put it frankly. I can go in there and say, these accommodations aren't good enough, the food isn't good enough, and the training is way too long. Just specific things that are really important," she explains. "I remember fighting for training socks at one point. These kinds of indignities, which all boil down to how much money the powers that be are prepared to put in women's leagues, make even the best female athletes feel insignificant." Krieger, like many people who are motivated by a desire to help others, has not always been excellent at asking for or receiving assistance when she needs it, but she has been working on it. Her divorce has taught her what it's like to be the recipient of the same love and support she's provided to others over the years. "Over the last 5 months, my friends have shown up in ways that I will treasure and remember forever. They are my true people," she states. "It's been so rewarding to see that, because you don't know how much of an impact you have, even on your personal friends, and when they show up for you, you're just like, whoa, thank God." I ask her if she notices anything in particular about how her community has recently supported her. "My entire crew gathered for a dance party the night the news broke, and I'll never forget that moment," she adds. "I found out during training. I was on the field, and I got off the field, into the locker room, and I was obviously distraught." She canceled the press conference and fitting for her forthcoming retirement game, which were set for later that day, and instead went home. "Then my teammates just started walking through the door," she recollects. "Each of them, at varying times. We were there till 2 a.m., just hanging around, dancing, and uploading music to YouTube. We were sitting in the playroom in my kitchen, dancing and hanging out. They were bringing champagne, flowers, and simply themselves. They didn't think twice. They didn't need to ask. They simply showed up. They just kept coming in, from straight after training, after their meetings, and until 2 a.m. my children were there, and so were we. That's something I'll never forget, and they'll never know how grateful I am." She pauses for a second. "I'm so appreciative." It wasn't just the other Gotham players who were there for her in the immediate aftermath of her divorce news. She also names her best friend, Liz Mumley, and her brother, Kyle, who is 13 months older than her and with whom she is quite close. "Every day, he and Liz checked in on me," she adds, adding that Liz drove up from Virginia Beach shortly after the news broke and stayed with her for a week and a half. Krieger is now taking care of herself by meditating daily and attending weekly therapy sessions, which she has been doing for 3 years. "It's been really healthy to talk about a lot of trauma that I experienced as a child, that I had carried through my life," she said. "I carried that into relationships, including friendships. I've started to pay more attention to my body and how it feels around certain people. I don't believe I paid attention previously. I was in this phase of thinking, oh, this is normal, I'm just going to keep pushing, and not realizing that maybe this isn't a safe area. She claims that treatment has provided her with new tools, as well as articles, podcasts, and advice from other specialists, which have been quite beneficial. I'm applying that day to day, and I'm in such a better space than I was before. Of course, processing a huge loss isn't neat, linear, or something you can get through by checking off all of the proper boxes on a good for your mental health to-do list. Therapy, this can be quite painful. It's hard to really confront things, Krieger says. You have to hold yourself accountable. Doing so much effort on oneself has taught her a crucial lesson about who she wants in her future life. People that prioritize their mental health and themselves in order to give me their best self, even if it's on a friendly level. It's not that she won't hang out with anyone who isn't in therapy, rather, she wants to surround herself with people who are self-aware and dedicated in their own improvement. She is showing up for herself, in part, so she can better support others, and she understands she deserves the same in return. You can imagine how unmoored a person may feel in a situation like Krieger's, where nothing is as it once was. Soccer, Krieger's work, community, and home for her entire adult life, has ended. Her 13-year relationship, which was intricately linked to her soccer experience and motherhood, has ended. But Krieger is clearly eager about what comes next, even if she isn't sure what that will look like. Krieger's first item of business after retiring is to spend more time with Sloan and Ocean. I never thought I would ever have to be in this position, she said, referring to her current divorce. But I'm focusing on me and the kids now. And just moving forward, how can I continue to set them up for success and make sure they are in a space where they're continuing to grow and process everything as well? She's excited to take them places, nothing expensive, just more walks around the neighborhood, excursions to the zoo, the beach, and to meet her family so they can see a little bit more than just the soccer field and daycare. Still, Krieger tries to be patient with herself when mom guilt sets in. I just have to throw that out the window, she said. My internal dialogue is, I'm a fantastic mother. I'm doing my best to balance the kids and my profession, and I'm trying to give myself some grace. I try to say that every day, no matter how I'm feeling, because it is true, we are all simply trying to do our best. She's also looking forward to a less scheduled daily life than she's had for the previous 2 decades, while she understands that idleness may lead to dissatisfaction among freshly retired athletes. When you get to the end, many of us struggle, because you're like, what is my purpose now? What is my schedule? She asks. I'm used to somebody telling me where to go, what to do, what to eat, what to wear. Everything's laid out for you, and you just show up. She intends to establish a new schedule for herself shortly, and she is excited to be in control of her calendar and to make room for spontaneity. I don't have to prep 4 or 5 days in advance for my game, she said. If my best friend calls me up and says, hey, why don't you come down? It's like, oh, yeah, I can do that now. Even though she is formally retired, Krieger plans to continue working beyond her responsibilities as a mother and is hopeful about the chances that await her. She has been vocal about her desire to work in broadcasting, and following our conversation, she formally joined CBS Sports as a studio analyst. She's also stated that she'd like to have a Michael Strahan-style second act, so morning TV could be in her future. She also wants to write a book about her life someday. I ask her what she expects her life will be like in 5 years, and she smiles. My kids are happy and healthy and thriving. Most importantly, she said, I'm in love and in a new relationship. And I'm just traveling the world, enjoying my profession and the people I work with, and making time for my friends and family to make new memories, and have entirely recovered from the past year in some manner, shape, or form. But Krieger isn't there yet, and her main objective for 2024 is to work on herself and deal with the messy consequences of a divorce. I'm in this transitioning phase, so I'm unarmoring myself, she said. I've basically been bare for the past 5 months, walking through it, not around it, over it, or under it, literally walking through, feeling everything, and learning and gaining the tools to be the woman I've always known existed. It's a transitional period for me right now, and it feels a little strange because I'm not quite there yet, but I can see her. Everything, I think, happens for a reason, and you don't always have to understand it at the time. I'm very excited for the new year and simply moving on with it, and then I'll be completely open to whatever comes next.